Show me his thing.
Hi, Eric.
Hey,
Hey, this is the fastest connection by far I've had with anyone. Must be meant to be.
really?
Yeah, like literally, I just turned it on and there you were.
Perfect. You can see me all right.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can see you just fine. And we're going to give people a little time to join in before we really start chatting. But people are watching us anyway right now. So
Sweet.
yeah, I guess it's 8 o'clock there.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
8 o'clock.
Nice. And even before people are officially watching, people are saying hi, Michelle. Hi, Eric. Hello.
Morgan Shane. Hey, Morgan.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's going to be lots of people joining in. I've already had lots of people messaging saying they could hardly wait for our conversation.
Nice.
Yeah, what's it like there?
It's good. Yeah, it's weather's warming up right now, so that's been nice. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
you'll be glad to know right here in Manitoba, it's super nice today. It's
yeah.
like sunny and I don't know what. Oh, your mom just said hi to both of us.
Oh, thanks.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I don't want to ask you too many questions yet because I want to give everyone a chance to join in. So
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
Everyone else I've talked to, we've sat and waited for 5-7 minutes, and yeah. So
Right.
this is great. This is great. So yeah, I mean, just for a little preview for people that are watching, and even those who aren't, of course, for you maybe, for sure want to hear some of your stories. But I got a bunch of questions lined up for you here too to see. I don't know, just to get to know you more than just your volleyball game. I mean, we've spent all our years watching you play.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So we'll let people join in, and Adam Schreimer's saying hello. This is so cool. Be able to watch people come in.
The GOAT, Adam Schreimer.
When do you come home? Or when do you leave Italy?
I'm actually leaving pretty soon. I like negotiated with my club to leave a bit early to start national team stuff. So I'm going to be leaving pretty soon, which is
That's
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nice to know the national team's doing stuff, eh? In Gatineau, that's really cool.
Yeah. That's been sweet to see. I'm glad they've been able to play out there. Like Mike was out there. I watched his interview, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Koski was out there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Darian's out there. And let me talk to Mary Jean Thompson. She was last week or a couple weeks ago. So
Right. That's sweet.
Yeah, really neat because she's out in Europe too. So
right. Where is she?
Austria. Oh my word! I just talked to her, and I'm telling everyone I don't know. She's playing in Austria. Okay, I'm right.
Okay.
Yeah, in Vienna. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful. Some of her pictures are amazing, and yeah. So cool. Oh, Adam's thanking you for the plug on watching Paving the Way. That goes a long way. Eric Loeppky plugs the series, Really fun. We'll give it one more minute and then we'll start. I just don't want anyone to miss anything because people are going to join and go, come on, you said 1 o'clock. So
yeah, for sure.
Cool. I almost asked your mom to join me in the studio, but I don't know. I thought she might want to talk to you for too long. So
yeah. I'll talk to her later. It's all right.
I bet you talk to her a lot.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Hanky. Hank, Marina.
Yeah.
Miss you, Hank. I want to phone you and Izzy soon. We got to get a call going.
Really neat. Neat to make these connections.
Yeah, I'm glad this worked out.
Okay. Well, we've hit 1 o'clock, Eric. So let's go.
All right.
Let's go. Well, welcome to Paving the Way, everybody. And as you continue to join, we're so excited to have Eric Loeppky. When Adam DeJonker and I talked about doing this kind of a series like this with Volleyball Manitoba, Eric Loeppky was like, boom, came to mind. But we thought we'd talk to a couple young guys close to home, and then it didn't take long until you got on our list. And we're so glad, actually, that you were able to join us. And I think it's really cool that we're still catching you in Italy, because I think that's super cool. So, Eric, welcome to Paving the Way.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. You've done a lot of interviews. I've watched most of them. Obviously, you grew up in Steinbach, my hometown, as everyone knows, and it's okay if they get tired of us saying that because we're pretty proud of where we're from, and we should be. But that connection for me has been really special, Eric. And I don't know. I just think that it's neat to just let young players know that doesn't matter where you're from, where you come from, you can do what, you can do what's set out for you and the path that, is set out for you to walk. So I want to for sure go back like to the very beginning at some point, but maybe first tell us exactly where you are and who you've been playing for in your first year being a professional volleyball player.
All right. I am in Italy, Ravenna. So Ravenna is northeastern Italy. It's about 2 hours south of Venice. Um, it's pretty close to the ocean. I'm actually staying in a little town called Lido Adriano. It's about 10 minutes from Ravenna. It's like a little beach town. So when I got here in the summer, it was bumping, but now there's no one around. So, but yeah, it's a great place. It's beautiful here. And I'm playing for Ravenna. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I think I know there have been a bunch of us who've been able to watch you play a little bit. That's been super fun, especially when no volleyball was going on here. So that was really cool. But I think a lot of young players, and probably you did too, you dreamt about playing pro at some point in your life. Was it what you thought? Was some of it the same? What was different? And what was your first year like?
Yeah, absolutely. Always been a dream, and I think I had a pretty good idea of what it was going to be like just because of playing national team and like always asking the older guys like, what's it like doing this, like all this, and just hearing kind of all their experiences about overseas. So I think that gave me just a lot of knowledge about what it was going to be like. And yeah, it's been a great first year experience, a lot of change, and especially like navigating COVID and everything. And it's been different, like a lot different than playing in college, but it's been awesome overall experience.
Was the level a big jump from obviously you're playing on, well, one of the best teams, we could say the best team, but one of the best teams in Canada. Was it quite a big jump to pro, or because of your national team experience, did that also sort of make it pretty smooth?
It was a really big jump for sure.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing about it was just the consistency of play. Like at Trinity, we had, like I would say we had some really crazy cool athletes at Trinity. It's just that like the league in Italy is just, it's like has crazy athletes, but then the skill is also crazy and all polished, and they've been doing it a long time. So national team for sure helped with that, getting like some exposure to international volleyball. Um, but yeah, definitely a big jump.
For sure. Okay, so you made it all the way to the pros so far, and still lots to go for Eric Loeppky, we know. But and I think most of us kind of know your story, but I'd love for you to go back. Is volleyball sort of a thing for you? And I know it was part of your family, and you started really young, younger than a lot of people. Was it just? Can you remember the first time you walked into the gym and actually was part of a practice?
Yeah, I remember. You want me to start like right at the beginning, or
were you 11, 10? I guess you went in with your dad or to volleyball practice.
I was just always that kid because my dad coached, right? So I was always that kid, like going to like walking from Southwood School to the junior high, and then like hanging out at practices and trying to get in drills and like serving balls if I could. And then he'd be like, okay, Eric, you can't be in this drill because you're not good enough yet, obviously, to ruin the drill. So like those memories I have all the time, like just walking from Southwood School, going to my dad's practices and like doing what I could. And then eventually I was in grade 5 and he was coaching a 14-year team. And I was actually a serving sub for Zach T-Tart.
Okay.
I remember going in at Dakota, like at those like time tournaments that Phil Hudson used to run. They were like 20-minute games, and I remember going in to serve, and I would play back row and then get subbed back out for the front row. I could like walk under the net, but those are some of my earliest memories of indoor volleyball. But I also grew up playing a lot of beach, just like going to the beach, watching my dad play, trying to pepper with him in between games and stuff. So yeah, those are some of my earliest memories.
Well, didn't you actually play in some beach tournaments with him when you were like so young?
Yeah, I played in some with him. A couple actually. We played in a couple men's opens. We won the family twos. I also played with my mom in the family twos. Um, so yeah, but with my dad pretty early on. I remember playing like Matt Stubler and Matt Schreimer, and like Ryan Munt, playing all those guys. Played Adam and Dusty a lot when they were still in high school, and I was a bit younger, and they were playing in those men's opens, and me and my dad were playing. It was a good time.
Eric, do you remember actually getting it that you were really good for your age? Like a lot of people were like, have you seen that Eric Loeppky? He's like little and young, but he's so good. Do you remember even having a concept of that?
Uh, Not really. Like I knew I was playing volleyball earlier than most kids my age.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just kind of, with the athletes that we had, like was always playing up. So then I think I maybe blended in a bit more. And if you didn't know for that I was playing up, you wouldn't have maybe thought that. But if you'd been like, okay, he's younger, then maybe you would have thought that. But the kind of first group we started, it was a lot of it was the first club season. There was three kids in grade six. It was me, Stefan Lavely, and Keegan Teetart, and then there was a bunch of older kids in grade seven, and then that kind of cycle moved all the way through to the SR. And
Yeah.
um, so I would say no, not when I was younger at least. Maybe once I got a bit older, but not
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just doing what you loved and doing what you could do, right? And you happen to be able to do it, which was really cool. I'm sure
Yeah.
we noticed it more than you did. You were just going on the court doing what you do.
Yeah, probably.
You touched on the whole high school thing, the Sabres thing, and you're with that same sort of group of guys. Talk a little bit about your high school experience. I mean, you won a provincial championship. That was pretty special. Maybe talk about that group of guys a little bit and how cool that was.
Yeah. It was really cool because we all started young together and we played club, I want to say, for like 3, 4 years together. And then we kind of split separate ways for club. Um, Guys started going play in the city. And then we kind of like reunited for like one last hurrah when I was in grade 11 and lots of guys were in grade 12.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was just really fun. I thought we were just like, we were all like really good friends and we would hang out a lot. So then getting to play with each other that kind of last time we knew it would be our last time was super fun. Um, yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, it was amazing. And playing for, I mean, and to play, I mean, you've done a lot of volleyball. You've played a lot of cool things, done a lot of cool things, played, obviously won some national championships in different ways at different levels. We're going to get to those things. But that provincial championship with that packed investors group gym, that has to rank up there as a pretty cool experience for your life of volleyball so far.
Yeah, yeah, that was my first like surreal experience probably in front of like a big crowd. Up until that point, like I'd gone to club nationals, but never played in the final yet. And also with Steinbach too, it was pretty special because I don't think they'd made Final Four before in Quad A. So we had like a lot of fans coming out, and we were playing Selkirk too. So it was kind of two different cities, brought a lot of fans, and the volleyball community in Manitoba is awesome. So yeah, it was unreal.
Awesome. There's a question there for you from Morgan, I think. Do you remember playing Manitoba games and playing with Bruce?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I think, oh man, I think we went up to like Swan River or something. Or yeah, I remember that actually. And there was like, because it wasn't like it was like, what's the event where they feature it for the next kind of Manitoba games? It was like, it was pretty small, and they had a court just set up, like a couple courts set up by a hockey rink or something, and we would just kind of go play. There wasn't like even that many teams. And we were staying in like a high school classroom, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good memory. I didn't really remember that.
See, the humble beginnings.
Yeah, that was really fun.
It all plays into it. It all plays into it.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric. Oh, it was in a parking lot, he said.
Parking lot, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about, I mean, you touched on it, and just because this is called Paving the Way, and I think we're trying to reach, I don't know, young kids who are trying to make their way in the sport too, is one of sort of the things we're trying to do with this series. I'd love to talk to you about, and I think it's important for Manitoba volleyball in general, because I've lived a lot of this as well. But transitioning from rural to city is a tough decision in club for a lot of kids. and a lot of athletes, and it often does mean that a few move on or switch, or even just within the city kids that choose to separate and all of that. Um, uh, what would you say to a kid who is faced with that decision? You've lived the experience, you made the decision to move up to a team in the city, and that was hard for you. I mean, that involved friends, and it involved, what would you say to someone facing that decision? Even as a coach, I had to make that tough decision, and other coaches have had to do that too. So I just want to touch on it a little bit, and just for you to give your advice and from your lived experience.
Yeah, I remember that. It's a tough decision because for me personally too, it's like I was playing with all my friends from Steinbach and like kind of that surrounding area. And then you kind of have to like lay out the factors of kind of just what are your goals and what are you really trying to achieve. And we were a good team, and we had lost the provincial final 2 years in a row. And I think I just wanted to keep playing at the best level I could. And there was a couple of us who went, so I think we kind of made like a group decision that we wanted to like keep pursuing this, and like we were thinking about already at that time like possibly playing college and stuff. So I think it really like factors in your goals. Like if my only goals were to just like have fun and hang out with my buddies, then I probably wouldn't have left, because I would have had a really fun time playing volleyball with all the Steinbach guys, and we would have had a great time. But I think I just wanted to see what I could do, and I knew if I hated it and it sucked, I could have gone back to Steinbach for the last couple of years of club too. So, yeah, I think I just took the leap. We took the leap, a couple of us, and it was a really good decision.
Yeah.
And that was, for me personally, that was like a big transition for me, going from setting to hitting too. So that would have changed a lot. Could have changed the course of a lot of things too.
For sure. I just think it's good to hear that. And I think it's good for all of us to know that really for our young athletes, we as coaches and adults and parents and players, we need to work together for the best of all of our athletes, I think. And yeah, once we get on the court, we want to compete, and we all love winning. But I think it's so much about all of our young athletes and really seeing their future. And I'm glad you said that. It was a good decision for you, and it wasn't a personal necessarily decision. It was a decision on what did you want to do in the game, and that's where you had to go follow your heart that way. So I just wanted you to be able to. I didn't know exactly how you saw that, but I wanted you to be able to share some of that, because I think that happens every year. It's not a unique situation. Kids make decisions like that all the time. So, okay, so you moved on, and then you played club in the city and had some pretty great experiences. That was also kind of a bump in level for you, and that led to another national championship. Talk about playing maybe club even at a higher level, and at that level. Talk about your club experience.
Yeah, so I went to go play for Windman, and I actually played for 2 teams. I played on the 16U team and the 17U team. So it was really busy. And I honestly, thinking back now, that was a big part. I'm like, oh, maybe I could like win like 2 national championships in 1 year. That would be legendary. It didn't happen, but yeah, I went to go play for Mike Stevens, and I was really pumped about that. I had gotten to know him a little bit just through always playing him in tournaments and stuff. And they had a great team. Like Mike Clegg was setting at this point in time. Like Bryce Edwards was there, Dallin was there, and a couple of us Steinbach guys went to play for him. I think it was me, Keegan, and Bronson the first year, and then Steph joined I think the year after. But it was great. It was a great experience, and I think it really just kind of like they were really good players, and they had a lot of the same goals as I did, and wanting to go play post-secondary. So I think just doing that really kind of motivated me, made me a lot better. And then, yeah, we ended up winning nationals in my grade 11th year. And that was super cool to play some of the best in Canada at your age group and to do well. And yeah, it was awesome. I had a great experience playing for Mike.
can you maybe put some words to what you took away from that season, what you learned, what made it great, and what was it about playing in that environment, maybe the environment that Mike created, or that coach, or that level, or that team? What was it about that environment that got you to the next level in your game, do you think?
I would say Mike just really kind of transitioned my point of view maybe to volleyball. Like he made it just like made us all so focused. Like he was big on just like this is business. Like in and out, we're playing to win.
Mm-hmm.
We're like putting the horses on the floor and we're just playing. That was like his big thing. Like don't get caught up in the whole emotions of the thing and everything. So he was just big on mentality and like really like pushed me, I think, in that area to be like, okay, like just got to focus, dial it in, like get in, get out, do my job kind of thing. Um, and that's honestly like a super similar mentality to pro because it's just like it is a job and you got to like go in and do your work, but then you have to have your like life away from volleyball too. So it's actually cool linking that together now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's neat. Prepared you before you even knew you were preparing for that. I think that's
Yeah,
really cool. So
yeah,
Eric, take us to the next level. So your next decision, obviously, amazing experiences. You've already shown people what you can do. So I think maybe we all knew you were going to play post-secondary somewhere, but that decision even started for you earlier than most as well. You've always been a little bit ahead of the curve. Talk about that experience. I think everyone wanted you to play for them. That's not what a lot of us get to enjoy. What was that like for you? And talk us through what life was like for Eric Loeppky making that choice of where to play post-secondary with all that pressure.
yeah. So yeah, I knew I wanted to play post-secondary. And the first time I talked to Ben Joe I was in grade 10 at U17 Nationals at Edmonton. And I talked to Ben Joe and I talked to Terry Daniluk. And they just kind of like said they were interested. I was still in grade 10, so I don't think they wanted to put too much pressure on me. But I was like, oh, wow, this is sweet. Then went into the summer, played our school season. That's the year we won provincials at U of M there. And then I set that whole school season still. So I was spiking for club season and setting school still. And I remember at the end of that school season, Garth like was reaching out to me, and I was like, "Oh man, Garth's a legend. He's talking to me, and he wants me to commit already as a setter." This was at the end of grade 11, or middle of grade 11, and I was like, I remember talking to my dad about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, like this could work. Like Luke, who was their setter, would have like we'd cross over 1 year, so I could maybe start setting my second year, and I like really considered it because that was like my first like actual offer to commit and like a little bit of pressure to commit. But I still like had Trinity in my mind. I still wanted to be Adam Schreimer. So I I actually messaged Ben Joe on Twitter because we had messaged a little bit on there, and I was like, hey, like I'm getting like some pressure to commit at U of M, and like I'm just still wondering if like are you interested in me still or anything? Like, because if not, then I'll probably just maybe commit here. And then he was like, oh yeah, we're still super interested. Like I didn't know that you were getting pressure to commit. Like let's have you out on a visit. So I went out on a visit within the new year. And then I was like, okay, Trinity's pretty dope. I'm going to maybe like take my time a little bit with this decision. And then I didn't end up deciding until the summer going into my senior year. So that was kind of like the intro story to how it all went down. But I ended up choosing Trinity, obviously. And I remember I was actually working at Red Rock, and I shot Ben Joe a message, and I told him I was going to come. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, you said you messaged him from Red Rock. Well, that was camp. That was the summer you decided not to play volleyball. You took a break. Was that summer? I bet that's quite a big decision for a young volleyball player to go, you know what, I'm taking a break from the sport. I think a lot of young players are a bit scared to do that. Was that obviously that was also a great decision for you?
Yeah, it was really good. Like, I actually almost kind of took 2 summers off because the summer before I really wanted to do CIT.
Mm.
So at Red Rock, and I didn't go to Beach Nationals. And then I really wanted to like at least do a full summer of counseling at Red Rock. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do one full summer. I did the full 8 weeks. It was so worth it. Um, and for young athletes, like you don't have to play like every summer to go on to stuff. I think it was super valuable for me. It was one of the funnest summers of my life for sure. And yeah, I don't regret it at all because I could have played youth team that summer, and there was a really talented group of youth team, and Ben Joe was actually coaching youth team. Um, but it was just something that was really important to me that I wanted to do, and I don't regret it at all. Um, and also to build off that, I never played provincial team either. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think you have to do those things. I think those things are great. Um, but um, yeah, Nate Remps, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Eric, I think it's becoming. I was almost going to say buzzword. I don't mean that as a bad thing. I think it's become a thing about talking about how rest and recovery is super important to high performance sport, actually, and it wasn't always viewed as that way. So it's nice to hear you say that you had the nerve. And never mind, Benjo was coaching that youth team, and you wanted to go play for him. That had to have entered your mind, like, if I say no to this youth team, is he still going to want me to come? But maybe you already knew.
yeah, yeah. I think I just had made that decision not to play over the summer, and then I don't think I knew at that time that he was going to be coaching. It just
Yeah.
kind of but yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so then you chose Trinity. I mean, we've all basically watched it happen. You going there made such a difference. And Eric, your first year, I mean, your first year of university, some great accolades. You were, I mean, the best first year player really is what they called you. And what's it like, Eric? I mean, is there a challenge? I mean, people from the outside looking in, when someone is so good, they're jealous of you, or they want to be you, or they just wonder how you're doing it. What's the challenge to being the player that you are? Have you or yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not even going to suggest what you might say. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Do you want to? Is this specifically for like my first year or just in
Sure.
general?
Sure. Let's say your first year going into Trinity with
Okay.
whatever expectations you had, and it turning out so well.
Yeah, I think I for sure like felt a little bit of pressure, um, like being the number one like ranked player in the province, and then like going and then leaving the province. Like I think there's almost a little bit of added pressure to like do well. Like if you leave, you better do well, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but thinking back to it, like I went in pretty. I didn't have high expectations at all. Um, so I didn't go in like thinking like, oh man, I have to start, I have to be rookie of the year. I just went in like wanting to get better. One of my goals was just to like get on the floor and play, but I knew that maybe I wouldn't. Like there was a lot of good players. They had just won the year before I went, and they were only losing their libero. So I honestly didn't think I was gonna play. I just was gonna go in and work my hardest and kind of see what happened. Um, so then I think just because because of my lower expectations, I didn't have as much pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Um, but I don't know if that sounds bad to have like low expectations. But
I don't think it sounds bad. I think it sounds like sort of an unbelievable amount of humility in a player where we all figured, oh, well, he's going to go on there and make such a huge difference. But I think that was the difference for you. I think that's probably why it was possible, because you didn't mess it up for yourself. You just went in and didn't expect anything and did the work you had to do to earn your spot. And as much as from the outside looking in, it looks all grand, you were just putting in the work every day.
yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was just putting the work. I was just pumped to learn and pumped to be there. And then I think just like the combination of the excitement of being there and learning just really helped me excel in that area, and then gave me more confidence throughout the year. Obviously, like by the end of the year, I was like, okay, yeah, I can be out here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it started like that at all.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of like that. When you were at Trinity, every year that you played there, you guys were successful. I mean, you didn't win every single year, but that's not the only measure of success for sure. Thank goodness, because we don't all win all the time. And do you have a most memorable season and reasons why at Trinity?
Oh man, I think like every season kind of has. I think every. Oh hey, shout out to Rafa, that's my setter.
That's awesome.
Um, I think every season kind of had a special moment. Like the first year was just so surreal. I think to play with so many great players that were older than me, and then to like get rookie of the year and win nationals, like that was just kind of like wow, like I couldn't have like pictured a better year. And then second year was like a really cool year of just like really trying to become the lead spiker and like take on that role. And we were a really young team. We had like two rookies starting. I was in my second year. It was Kern's first year. The only really older guys we had were Adam and Carter, um, because also Aaron got injured. So that year was just really fun being like the young team, and just like kind of battling that out and trying to get that three-peat. We didn't get it, but it was still a really special year. Third year was cool too because we kind of had this new team who had now some battle scars from losing, because before that, all of us young guys didn't really know what losing was because the old guys had lost and then won, but we had just caught on to that winning end. So we now were like, oh man, like that sucked losing last year. Let's just like grind this whole year and see what we can do. And then losing in the Canada final and then winning the national championship that year was super cool. It just makes the win sweeter, honestly. Like the first year was surreal just because I dreamed of this and everything, but losing and then winning and like earning that back is really valuable, I think, and really special. And then my last year was just, I just think we were so talented and we had so many cool athletes, and we were just really gelling together, and we're all just best bros. And that was just like the cool part, I think, of that year, just getting to showcase that to the league and the country. But too bad we didn't get to finish it off. But yeah, I just think those are just kind of some maybe highlights of every year for me.
Yeah, well, that was really cool. Thanks for sharing that. And since we're talking about Trinity, you know, it's funny in sport, and I guess I'm getting a little older and maybe a little wiser, but in my time watching sport, being involved in sport, coaching in sport, I think we waste a lot of time as athletes and players not really liking teams that are good. We just want them not to win because they're too good. It's not their turn anymore. Instead of saying, I'm going to ask them, what can we learn from them, instead of just not wanting them to be good anymore. So there's no question. It's not even like if it's the elephant in the room, but Trinity's amazing and the program is great. And a lot of people would like to go and play there. So we can't all go there because there's only a certain number of spots. Eric, what can we learn? What do you take from it? If you ever coach someday, what do you take from Benjo? What do you think we can learn from that program? Why is it what it is?
I think it's so successful because it has such a great combination of, like, obviously the athletes are sweet. Like Benjo loves getting good athletes, and because he's built up the program, he has sweet athletes. So you can't ignore that. But on top of that, I think he does such a great job at like picking guys who gel together and really creates a good culture for the players to succeed. I think team culture is everything, especially in a sport like volleyball. It's so much easier to play with someone who you're like a brother with and would like do anything for, and then you just get to play volleyball with them. It makes it so much easier versus maybe having some issues off the court. That's pretty hard to like play with someone. So I just think the culture with the combination of the athletes and then and then like obviously over time it makes that easier because the repetition, you can get these good athletes and great players because of doing well. So I just think to learn from Ben Joe also, he just is always he's always looking for new ways to do things. He's not stuck in one way. um, Even throughout my time there, like the way he taught things changed, and like that's okay. Like there's not like one perfect way to do some things, but Ben was always so open with like learning like new ways to block. Like this is a really simple example, but like blocking, people used to always start like this. They would always start with their hands up, right? But Ben was like, he saw, I think it was like Long Beach State doing this. They have these low hands. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. But then you think about it, like, okay, well, if they're gonna have to go to the outside anyway, they're gonna have to lower their hands anyway. So starting from a lower position could make them faster. So he's always like trying out different things um, to like make us better and challenge us. So I think there's so many factors going into it, but yeah, just like be open to learning things. If you're coaching a team, like be open to even looking at other teams and like, oh, they're doing this, like that's pretty cool. Instead of like, oh man, like that team's so good, I hope they lose, kind of thing. Um, yeah, honestly, this is a lesson that I think was brought up in my second year because UBC was really good,
Mhm.
and I remember one meeting of Ben Joe was like, okay, guys, we got to stop like being like, oh, UBC this, UBC that. Like, let's appreciate them. Like, and then he went through all the players and was like said all the good things about their game. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like that's our number one competition. That's our like enemy in this sport. And we were like, he was saying all the good attributes about their style and stuff. So just, yeah, being able to recognize that, don't be stuck in one way, and create a good team culture.
Yeah, yeah. And part of that team culture, a lot of good players are there on that team, sitting on the bench, and they stick around. They stick around and wait their turn. What do you think builds that sort of environment? I know you never actually have had that much experience from their side, but these are your brothers. These are I mean, that you played with. Like you've talked to them. You know what they're feeling. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think through my 4 years, like all the guys who weren't on the court were some of like the greatest guys I like know to this day. Like they're amazing people, um, and I think just that everyone really honestly enjoys each other. Benjo also makes it fun for everyone. Like we would do a lot of team trips, and like some of the funnest. I know you can talk to most of the guys, and let's say some of the funnest times are on the road, like in the hotel rooms and like hanging out, and we go down to Seattle and play this thing called Whirly Ball all the time, or like just like and like team dinners and like NBA fantasy stuff and like different things like that are just like even just eating at the cafeteria at school. Like it's just the guys are connected. It's not really a like the guys who play and the guys who don't play. Like all the guys are connected. Making practices fun, like games at reps and different little mini games and yeah, I don't know. It just all those little things just kind of add up.
Really cool. Eric, throughout your career, as nicely as it's gone, you had some injuries. I mean, we've dealt with sore knees and some of that stuff, like a lot of growing young men do, and but some other stuff. Can you talk a little bit about, because a lot of young athletes deal with injuries and some feel like maybe this is too much. How did you deal with all of that and the role that it played in your game?
Yeah, honestly, if I just to say like overplaying too is something that I think is super valuable to maybe stay away from. Like, and I think that's also one of the reasons why I took those summers off in high school is because my knee was so bad, and I just didn't want to like be jumping on it all year. So for young athletes, I would just say, just like really get to know your body and what works best for your body. Like stretch a lot and get strong in like uncomfortable positions, in positions that you are on the volleyball court, um, and like don't overdo it. I loved playing for two teams that one year, but it honestly probably wasn't great for my knee because that's the year my knee started to hurt. Um, so yeah, just really get to know your body, figure out things like rest, but then also be proactive in that rest. Um, I used to think like, okay, like those summers I rested, but I didn't really do anything to help other than rest. For some people that's enough, but mine was pretty bad, so I should have been doing some other things. Um, but I'm big now on this thing called like strength through length stuff. So like being flexible, but also being strong in those uncomfortable ranges, because in sport you get in those all the time. So um, if you can really find that balance and really know your body, know what you need, um, and just like start on that journey early. Don't wait till you're like can barely walk or something. Like really be proactive about it. And then the toughest thing is to do it when you're feeling healthy. Um, it's honestly still a constant struggle in mine. Like, okay, the knees are feeling good. Like, I don't need to stretch after practice. Like, maybe I'll order a pizza or something, you know? And then I'm like, oh, my knees hurt. And I'm like, why'd I order a pizza? I should have stretched last night. Like, you know, like it's just a cycle, and it's just humans do that. But yeah.
Yeah. Are you feeling good now though? Or you feel like, I mean, I know even later in your career, you took some games off and some of that kind of thing. How are you feeling now?
Feeling pretty good now. Like, with the load this year, the load shock was pretty big. Just a lot more jumps than I was used to, and I think I handled it really well. I didn't miss any games because of injuries, or any practices because of injuries. So yeah, I'd say that was a real success. My knees are feeling pretty good. Still, obviously, a battle to maintain that, like I just mentioned, but um, feeling really good.
Awesome. You touched on the fact now as well, so I'm going to go to this in more detail. Your experience with national team stuff, and I think player of the year and all that stuff. Sometimes in Canada we watch and maybe just because I'm a big fan of yours, I'm like, you should just fly right onto that national team. I want to watch him at the Olympics like tomorrow. But well, and kind of nice to see for I think maybe young athletes and other people that it isn't even just that simple for you. Talk about your journey and your experiences with the national team so far. And once you've done that, we're going to look into the future for you. But talk about what you've done so far with the national team and how that's been for you. Has it been all good? Some disappointment, that kind of thing.
All right. So I played 2 summers of junior team after my senior year of high school and after my first year of university. I got to play in the junior team, and that was super cool just to be with some other good players your age, and then to be around the older senior guys and just kind of watch them do their thing. Um, and then after my second year, I was named to the extended roster for Nations League, but I didn't end up traveling at all. So I got to train with some of the A-team guys, and that was my first time getting exposed to this, and that was crazy because it just shows you what you need to do. It gives you a way clear kind of insight onto where you need to improve. So that summer, though, I got really fortunate to go with them as they prepped to go to the 2018 World Championships. There was a couple injuries, and I got pulled up, and I got to train with them for 5 weeks in Poland, in Slovenia, and that was so cool because it was full volleyball, international volleyball, senior team level, and I just felt like those experiences really helped me, like we talked about earlier, but really helped me with my college game, getting those experiences. And then the summer after, I was on the Nations League roster again, and I got to travel 2 of the weekends. I didn't get to play too much, but again, just kind of being in that environment was great. But yeah, obviously everyone has those Olympic dreams, and I was left off the qualification, everything for that summer, and wasn't at the qualifying tournament. I was there watching, but I wasn't on the team. So, and that was just the way it is, because it's a really big step to go to international volleyball, and yeah, so that's kind of just a brief summary of my national team.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess. And then this summer was weird. It was weird not being in Gatineau this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So when you look at the left side hitters you're competing against and the players you're competing against to be on that roster, what do you think that you have to work on in your game? What's going to be important for you? What do you keep sort of in front of you to keep you working towards realizing your dreams of being on the national team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just dialing in my reception and just being more consistent in just everything. Just with like spiking and scoring more and making less errors. Just just really the higher level of volleyball you go, the less errors are made. Um, there's like the less times there's a free ball over the net because teams are so good at digging and spiking. And so yeah, I think this year's been huge for me to get just tossed into some of the best volleyball out there and just really have to adapt, versus like knowing like, okay, like you're in this environment, but you're going to go back to college and you're not going to have to hold it the whole year. So um, I think this year has been huge for me to just like pass the really hard serves all year, and to spike against the best blockers all year. So um, yeah, in the end, I think it's just slowly minimizing errors because even like going from high school to college, you see that, and then going from college to pro, you see that, and it just keeps getting smaller and smaller.
Mhm.
So,
Now, speaking of the national team right now and the Olympics, I mean, does the postponement change anything for the national team? Not just specifically you, but is that roster still set, or what do you know about that? If it happens in
uh,
2021.
yeah, as of I know, the roster isn't like really set until right before, just because there can be injuries, and all that. So I know I'm on the long list for the reserve. So um, yeah, it's definitely going to be a goal of mine this summer to like push for that and do everything I can to be on that team. Um, but yeah, in the end, it's not up to me, but I'll do everything I can. Yeah,
Absolutely. The day to day, that's what I mean. It just sounds like that. That's what you do.
yeah, exactly.
I do have a little question. You grew up in a volleyball family. I have a couple more questions before we let you go. Your mom and your dad both played. What would you say? What qualities do you take from your dad and his game and your mom and her game? What do you think you carry inside of you that's helping you be great?
Oh man, that's a great question. Hmm.
What are their best qualities?
My mom, my mom has, she's got great hustle.
Perfect.
We played in Family Twos tournament when I was maybe 15 with her, and she would have been almost 50, and we got third at the Family Twos tournament, and it's not just like mother son type of thing. Like there was like some good like sibling teams, cousin teams. So yeah, my mom played super hard and she stuck it out all day, and we didn't practice at all. So, uh, and then for my dad, hmm, I I think his best skill is blocking, and that's probably my worst skill. So I don't know. Probably,
But your
probably,
dad's a great athlete though too, so he did
yeah,
pass some of that down to you.
yeah. He's a great jumper and spiker. He was
Yeah.
he was blocker, jumper, spiker. So I would say attacking for my dad.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Here's another question. We all like Eric Loeppky. A lot of players that become the best, we find reasons not to like them. Is it are you purposeful about how you conduct yourself on the court? I'll be honest, when I watch you, you have a lot of moments you can stare people down because you sort of like do a lot of great things, but you never do. And you always look like you're having an amazing time. Is that a purposeful thing for you when you play? How you conduct yourself on the court?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I just think that I've just never been. Whenever I see like someone who's like a really like whoever is like cocky or like kind of like that, it always just makes me like cringe, and I just knew I never wanted to be that type of athlete. I didn't see value in it. I thought that I could like have good character and good class and be good. Like that was kind of my thing to like in with class essentially. So um, I would say like I don't even know if I have purpose with that because I think that's just like how I play. Like I've never not played like that. I've maybe gotten a little bit more fiery and emotionally like engaged throughout the years. Like a couple of those years playing for Mike, like we were like just like straight faced all the time and like would just play and not like even celebrate that hard. But once I got to Trinity, I kind of got more fiery and like, but always with my team, always that kind of never kind of staring guys down or anything. Um, I don't know. Just never been my style. It probably will never be my style.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
But I like that. You thought I can actually play, be classy and respectful and be great. And you can be the best. Probably that's maybe one of the only ways you can actually become the very best because you're not too concerned about all that stuff. You're just taking care of yourself. Okay, I have to ask you, Eric, are you 22 now?
Yeah.
22. You sort of surprised us all. You have this wife of yours. My
Yeah.
goodness, I've been watching her play volleyball. She's very good, by the way.
Yeah.
She's an amazing setter. I never knew of her before. Tell us a little bit. Now, we don't, I mean, this isn't like, I don't know what we'd call this. This isn't like Entertainment Tonight or anything, but you're kind of a star. So we want to know what in the world? You got married. You got married this year. Talk about that a little bit, how that's gone. Obviously, it's super positive for you. You guys are far apart, though. So you made that big decision. That's a big one. Tell us about
Mhm.
her.
Yeah. She's a stud. She's amazing. She puts all my accolades and anything with volleyball like to shame. She played at University of Minnesota, and she was a four-time All-American and Setter of the Year a couple times, and played for Olympic team. Gold medalist coach, Hugh McCutcheon. Yeah, she had a rocking career there, and then she played overseas in France this past year, before this year, and now she's tearing it up in the first volleyball league in North America, Athletes Unlimited. Um, so yeah, we got married. She's American, so I actually got down across the border about a year ago now, before it all closed down. I crossed 5 hours before it closed with all my stuff from college. I was driving out. I was halfway home, and I was planning to stop in at Steinbach, but they said it was closing at midnight Eastern time, and I crossed at like 6 p.m. Um, yeah, so I crossed the border, and I actually stayed down there for almost 100 days, over 3 months. We were just like, because she couldn't come up to Canada, and I didn't want to come up to Canada and then not be able to come back down. So I knew I wanted to propose that summer. In the 3 months, I had asked her parents for their blessing. Um, and
Classy.
thanks. And I'd ordered the ring already and everything. Um, and then I had to leave for a buddy's wedding, and I trained with the national team for a couple weeks, so we hadn't seen each other for a month. And I was back in Steinbach for a bit, and just kind of waiting on my visa and my contract situation. And we were like, okay, let's just see if you can come across. Like, we'll try. Like, how serious are they about this whole thing? So she drove up. She drove up to the border, and I met her there, but they wouldn't let her cross, and they wouldn't let us talk to each other, and it was just like the hardest moment. Because I was hoping to propose in Canada, and because I'd assume we'd probably get married in Minneapolis. Um, and they didn't let her cross, and that was so hard, and I was like pretty frustrated with the whole situation. But the crossing guard told me, or the border crossing guard told me that there had been Canadians flying down to the States, and Canadians were still allowed to fly down to the States. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So sure enough, I Googled it. There was a bunch of articles about grandmas going to see their grandkids in the States and all this stuff. They just had to quarantine when they came back. So I was like, okay, like I booked a flight, flew down the next day, and in that 24 hours, planned an engagement with her mom and her friends and a photographer. And we got engaged that week. And we had talked about like, should we just get married and like so we can like see each other. Um, like it just, the more we talked about it, the more sense it made. And we didn't want me to leave and then not be able to come back, or like me to go to Italy and her not be able to come see me because um, she used, yeah, like even if we wouldn't have got engaged, I still wouldn't have seen her since July right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so looking back, or I mean married, sorry. We got married at her grandparents' cabin. We did a little ceremony, and her mom's an ordained minister, so she married us actually, and we got her grandparents to sign as witnesses, so it was pretty cool. And we just, yeah, we did a little ceremony there, and we're still going to do a big wedding celebration with all our friends and family. But looking back now, it was kind of like wow, this was like pretty crazy, pretty like divinely inspired for us. So, um, yeah, because then she came with me to Canada and then was with me in Italy up until January. So we kind of
Right
had
on.
our first year of marriage in Italy, and it was, yeah, it was awesome. It was great to have her here, and I'm so pumped to, yeah, be her husband, and I'm pumped to watch her tonight too. She plays tonight.
Yeah,
I should check
cool.
it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Athletes Unlimited. It's a super thing. We could talk for so much more, Eric. We've got about 2 more minutes, I think, before
okay,
Instagram Live is going to cut us off. So I want you to give a shout out to anyone you can think of, or maybe thank yous, hellos. I know nowadays with social media, you can say hi all the time, but
yeah,
maybe give a shout out to some people you want to say hi to.
all right, okay. Shout out all my Steinbach plays, all the guys playing at the SRSS, training in Kleefeld in those young days. That was the best. Shout out to my first beach partner, Jacob Lowen. Um, Bonnie, his mom was a big part of my volleyball life. Obviously, my parents, all my coaches, Mike Stevens. Um, he was a huge part. Morgan Shane with beach. Um, I'll show you out too, Nick, even though I know you're on your mom's account. Um, that's my backdoor neighbor for the longest time. And then all my Trinity boys, all the guys I played with were amazing, amazing guys, and obviously Ben Joe and 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 Joel and Ben Ball and the whole staff there, and then even my Ravenna guys this year. I had great teammates this year in Italy, and they were awesome to play with. So um, yeah, there's so many people I could.
Yep.
Kofi's, Kofi's he's calling me Elo. That was my junior team nickname. Go check go check out his music. He's legit. He's a rapper
Awesome.
now. But
Well,
yeah,
Eric, you know what? This is amazing. And we're going to wrap it up because they're going to wrap it up for us anyway. I'm beyond honored to have been able to have a conversation with you and to be able to share this. And there's a lot of kids that look up to you and want to be just like Eric. We're hoping for you for national team. And whenever that happens, we know all of Manitoba will be behind you. And Volleyball Manitoba is so proud to call you our own. And way to go in Italy. And congrats. And thanks for joining us on Paving the Way.
thanks, Michelle. This is awesome.
Good. Thanks. See you later. Safe
Bye.
travels.
Thank you.